So, I think you were telling me you were starting a new client.
Mm-hmm. So I just did the intake with Mom and with the little one, and some of the problem behaviors that she reported and that I got to see was tantrum, primarily when he's trying to access things.
Okay.
So what happened when I got there, I had a pen and he's writing on walls, like all over the walls. And so
Okay.
I decided to type up all my notes instead of having the pen out, and he was crying as soon as the pen was put away. Mom reports that this has been happening for the past month.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty concerned about that, only because the therapist will be writing with pens when we start sessions. So that's probably one of the first things I'm going to work on getting over. But additional problem behaviors that Mom reported and that I saw mouthing. He just started OT, so I'll check with her and see if there's anything that she's working on or what her assessment showed, or any strategies that she has for mouthing. Let's see. And then those are primarily the problem behaviors that I was looking at. The tantrums, in addition, vocal protests, and then the mouthing. And then skill deficit-wise, there was some imitation, but it's not under control by any means. His older brother was playing with some toys, and his brother stopped, and then like a minute later, the child, our client, walked up to the toys and started doing the same things. So that was good to see, but when I tried to do it with him in the moment, he didn't want to do it. And then functional communication. Right now, he's not consistently imitating. Mom will hear like mama and dada. She's not sure if it's in context or not, but there isn't any other sounds or form of communication where he's trying to, or requests. Right now he's getting his needs met by hand leading, grabbing Mom's hand and bringing her to the object, bringing the object to Mom, or attempting to retrieve things himself.
So what are you thinking then for functional communication?
I'm thinking first pairing, definitely to start.
So what would that look like?
So therapists present a preferred item or activity and pair it with the sound. And initially just a lot of pairing. And I think initially he won't be required to make any sounds, but as soon as we start to hear sounds within 2 seconds of us making a sound, they're starting to require that sound,
so
in order to access the reinforcement.
So pairing, kind of moving into a shaping of echoics and manding. And so you're thinking vocal?
Yes.
For him.
Vocal, and I talked to Mom. He does some signs. But they're not spontaneous. He'll do them with an imitation, and they're very non-specific signs, like more and please. So I talked to Mom that if she wanted to go that route, and he started speech too. He just had a speech assessment, or if speech was thinking about going the sign route, then we would be on board with that. I just talked to her about using more specific words, only because he can say more for anything and get access to something. And then I did talk to her about PECS. She is on board. She wants to try that one. She thinks he is a visual learner. He likes pictures. So definitely we're going the PECS route as well.
So how old is he?
He's 2.
He's 2. Oh, okay. So what might be some of the things that sway your decision making one way or the other? Like whether we're going to focus on vocal or whether we're going to focus on PECS. What are some things? Why is it that you're thinking more vocal at first than PECS?
I was thinking more vocal only because he was babbling quite a bit during the intake. Different sounds. So I was thinking of that, but then I feel like with the PECS, Mom sounded more on board with the PECS than anything. So that was one. So I'm a little bit torn still on which route we're going to go. But I think using both would be helpful to the family and to the team as well.
So what are some of the pros and cons then for using vocal versus using PECS? Like what are some of the advantages for vocal?
I think with vocal, if his articulation is clear, then anyone can understand it. yeah, anyone can understand it if it, like I said, if he can say the word, say the complete word that what he's asking for. And I can think of cons for vocal as well, where I could see him becoming prompt dependent on, like, if mom always said, "What do you want?" or gave him the echoic for the word that for whatever he's asking for. But yeah, so in regards to PECS, pro-wise, I could see. Well, mom was I think the enthusiasm that mom, because she was pretty excited when I described it to her. Okay. And I think the speech therapist had talked to her about that as well.
Got it.
I just think the maintaining of the pictures would be difficult for mom to do. Yeah. So definitely having extras, if we decided to go the PECS route, would be good for the family. I think there's pros and cons for each one.
Right.
And depending on if we can get words under stimulus control under, you know, when we say it, he says it and it's clear, then that'll probably sway my decision into going the more vocal route. Right. Because if no one can understand him, right. If I decide to go the vocal route, then it's not going to be helpful. Right.
Yeah, no, and I think his age definitely plays a big factor. He's only 2. And so while, you know, you want to give him that immediate functional communication method, he is young enough, and if he is babbling a lot, then maybe you could set sort of a time frame or a window of saying, okay, we're going to push vocal for, I don't know, what do you think might be a good time frame?
Say a month or 2.
Okay.
A month or 2.
Yeah, I think
has 4 or 5 sessions a week.
Right. I think, you know, setting a time, maybe that would be helpful for mom, since she's kind of interested in PECS. The thing with PECS is it's great, but you're right. Maintaining the icons and keeping it up, especially if he's a child whose preferences change all the time. And if you can really get the vocals going, because he is so young, then maybe that would be the good way to go at first. Okay. But if you have that sort of, you know, time frame set, mom says, or, you know, you explain that to mom, we're going to give it a month. I want to see if, you know, maybe if we can get 4 words or 4 vocal mans, and if we don't have those established at that time, then we can work on PECS at the same time. Maybe that's something that you consider doing. Yeah. But, you know, obviously for an older child, your decision might be a little bit different. You know, why would it maybe be different for a 4-year-old?
Let's see.
Than a 2-year-old?
Because at that point, he already has problem behaviors that may have been reinforced for so long that we want to give them that functional communication right away. Right. If they've already demonstrated that by 4 that vocal communication has been difficult to acquire, then we want to provide them some way, because they're already, you know, at 4. Right.
And it doesn't sound like he has tantrums, but, you know, all 2-year-olds have tantrums. Doesn't sound like he has you know, really extensive problem behavior repertoire, which is good.
Yeah, as far as, like, you know, the tantrums and vocal protests, mom doesn't report that it happens every day. Right. Yeah, and as far as repetitive stereotypic behaviors, he has, like, some motor things that he likes to run around circles. But mom, same thing, that if she redirects him, he doesn't get upset, that he'll stop.
So because of that, there's not a huge, I think, immediate behavioral need. It's not like he's having aggression and self-injury and lots of tantrum behavior because he's so frustrated. Because he's so young,
that's a good point.
You maybe could really push the vocal for the first month or 2, and then at that point, if it's not successful, move into PECS. But just maybe if you can explain to mom that we want him to talk, that's sort of our first priority. And, you know, maybe the situation is right to really push that at first, and then if not, we can absolutely move into PECS.
Sounds good.
If it doesn't, you know, take. Yeah. So, okay. Sounds good.
Thank